Hi, my name's Phil Royalty, and I'm a recovering truckie. Welcome to this month's edition of Truck Talk. What we're going to go over today is some ladder care and maintenance, some inspection procedures, and just generally how to make sure our ladders are going to serve us well when we need to use them on the fire scene or the training ground. First, I'm sure a lot of people are saying, why is this engine honk talking about truck stuff? And the reason for that is because every piece of suppression equipment that we have carries a complement of ladders. And in the last opportunity for the department to do a VES procedure, it was an engine company that threw the ladder, Engine 21C. I wasn't there. Heard it was a great job. Helped out by Engine 24. So if you think back on a lot of the scenes that you've been on, the majority of the elevated rescues, whether it be from a balcony or a second floor window, are typically performed by engine companies. Those fires usually require our truck companies to either perform an interior search or go topside. So the likelihood of an engine company arriving and throwing their 24-foot ladder for a VES or a balcony rescue is very likely. The last incident scene we had where we had an elevated entrance into a structure, the stairs had burned through, it was an engine company assigned. So that being said, every member of the department should have a good idea of how to inspect, care for, and clean and wax our ladders. I also just want to take a minute and, depending on when this video comes out, I want to let everybody know that either you will have just recently been introduced to, or in the very near future you will be introduced to, a new truck ops manual. This is an exciting time for the CCFD because it's really the first operational guidebook for our truck companies on the fire ground. A lot of good folks put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. They've been at it for a couple years. There's been a lot of revisions. And what I ask is that everybody have an open mind and embrace this information as it's presented. It really will give the department an opportunity to flow very well on the fire ground when it comes to truck company operations and truck work. Some common terminology and some common actions on the particular buildings that the fire would be in. So I just would hope that everybody kind of have an open mind and embrace it and give it a try and train with it. Some of it's going to be new to the department, but nothing in there is new in the fire service. So look forward to having that come out. It'll be introduced in training classes, and everybody will get a chance to go through it. So that's pretty exciting. Let's talk about the ladders that we're going to do today. We're going to do basic cleaning and inspection and a waxing of a 14-foot ladder and a 24-foot ladder as well. So that being said, we're going to move outside to the back and go to work. All right, before we get started on the actual cleaning, inspection, and waxing the ladders, I just want to talk a little bit about our ladder construction. It's the T6 aluminum, and all the T6 means is that it is heat treated to 360 degrees, and that's what gives it its tensile strength, up to about 44,000 psi. They're very strong ladders. The problem with that aluminum is, one, it's malleable, which it can sustain some nicks and dents that aren't that big a deal. But when that ladder is heated, it definitely loses its strength. In fact, the ladders will start losing their strength at about 350 degrees. Because it's metal, if it's 350 degrees at one part of that ladder, it's going to conduct. The whole ladder will begin to weaken, and it can have a rapid failure with no warning signs. So it could be in a window where there's fire blowing out. The whole ladder will be subject to weakening. The process is called annealing. It's just a scientific word to say the way that it was heat treated, it removes that heat-treated strength, and the ladder can catastrophically fail. So because of that, the ladders are required to be tested by NFPA annually. Part of that testing includes that there's 4 heat dots, which you've all seen before. They're either a blue or kind of an off-white. And there has to be 4 dots on every section of the ladder. Those actually turn black when they've reached 300 degrees. So they should be inspected after every fire, or in reality, hey, one Monday a month, or whenever we can get to it, we should pull our ladders off, give them a little bath, and check our heat sensor labels. If we've thrown that ladder and it's been anywhere near heat, we need to check those. Another thing we don't typically think about is if we're going to throw our 24, we grab our 14, set it down, it's being heated up by the exhaust, because obviously the engine's going to be running. That right there can decommission a ladder. The procedure is, if we notice that a dot's turned black, the ladder's placed out of service, it goes to the warehouse, it'll be replaced, and then when our annual service testing comes out, they're going to go ahead and test that ladder. It'll either pass or not pass. The next service testing period for Clark County Fire Department is going to be end of April, beginning of May. It's kind of an interesting process to watch. What they do is static load our ladder with 500 pounds, and they measure the amount of flex from the ground. They do a pre and post measurement. That 500 pounds is a 4-to-1 safety ratio, which means under working conditions that ladder can hold, without failure, is supposed to hold a 2,000-pound weight. Remember now, that's static though. A fully packed out fireman carrying a victim or a heavy amount of hose can actually, with flexing that ladder and just a little bit of an incorrect angle, one firefighter with gear can put 2,000 pounds of pressure on that ladder. That's why it's really critical that we know our ladders are good to go, they're inspected, and especially we're looking at our heat sensor labels. Those labels have an expiration date. They expire every 5 years. It's nothing we need to worry about because the ladder testing company takes care of that. That's part of the process. They look at the labels, make sure they're within date, and they're all the proper color. Again, you might see orange, you might see an off-white, and you might see a blue. But what we don't want to see, black dot, it's got to go. All right, ladder care and maintenance is very simple. Manufacturer's recommendations: soap and water. Ivory dish soap, just a little dish soap. Rinse them off, give them a good scrub. We want to make sure we're rinsing out the inside of the beams. Get it nice and clean. The inside of the beams is where you're going to find all your heat sensing labels. And then the waxing is just a simple paraffin wax. It's a canning wax. You can get it at the grocery store. $4 for a box. We'll show it to you over here. I believe Steve at the warehouse is going to start providing it, so if you want to put in an order. But every day we shop, we can all throw down $4, have some wax, take good care of our ladders. Now, our straight ladders, our roof ladders, there's no moving parts on this with the exception of our hooks. And the hooks can use a little maintenance. There's nothing we can do about the springs. If the springs become too loose, we just take our ladder, put it out of service, the springs will be replaced, hooks will be good to go. The manufacturer says we can resharpen our hooks should they need it. No big deal there. These are Duo Safety ladders made by the Duo Safety Ladder Company. The rungs are not replaceable in the field. There's also Alco-Lite or Alco aluminum ladders that are in the field. Through the years, we've bought both types of ladders. If you have interchangeable rungs, which would be like a little Allen wrench, you know that's an Alco-Lite ladder. The Duo Safeties are expanded and welded rungs. They're the way that they're put in, they're built so that they're exactly as strong as our beams or our side rails. If we need to do any kind of maintenance at all to the 14-foot roof ladder itself, we would just, come on out, Gavin. All you really need to do is just expose the post as it goes through the housing, and a little bit of white lithium grease will do the job. You can clean it up, put a little white lithium grease, make sure that it's nice and smooth as we pop that down to go ahead and put our hooks out. First of all, I'd like to apologize for anybody out there that thinks we needed to show you how to soap and scrub down a ladder, but it's just part of the process. What he's doing now is he's hitting the post, the spring post, with a little white lithium grease. You actually will push them down a little bit and gauge the spring, and then you can see where the post makes contact with the housing. You want that area greased up a little bit so you'd hit the top and the bottom. Go ahead and push that down right there. So you hit the post right here like this, and then right here where it goes through the housing again. Nothing much we can do with springs. The beauty of aluminum ladders is that they require very little maintenance. I think it's also a little bit of our downfall because we just set them and forget them. Because they don't need much. Whereas wood ladders require a ton of maintenance. The crew's hands are on them a lot more. They're a lot more familiar with what they're doing. That's the beauty of the training division. They come up with things that we think, hey, what are we maybe not doing a great job with, or what could we use a refresher class on? They came up with ladder maintenance. When you're on a truck company, you think about them more. We're all guilty of not pulling our ladders out and giving them a good once-over and taking care of them like we should, all of us. So this is a great opportunity to just kind of review and touch on our ladder maintenance. Now we're moving over to the 24-foot extension ladder. More moving parts. This one's already been cleaned and dried. When we have it down on the ground, it gives us an opportunity to inspect our halyard. This is a fancy halyard. We used to be able to get rescue rope halyards when we did have a heavy rescue. They typically come with manila. The reason the manufacturers send them with manila is it's cheap. It's easy to go to the hardware store, buy and replace. It's easy to grip. And this is actually our rescue rope. So if you used to be able that if you got a ladder and you had manila, you could go up and trade it out. Not sure that that's the case anymore. So it's really important, because manila is a weaker rope, is that we just go ahead, take a look at our halyard rope, run the length. Good idea just to spin the pulley, make sure it's moving freely, and you're good to go there. When it comes to waxing the ladder itself, just another thing too is we got to look at our butt spurs, make sure they're not broken, chipped, or loose. These can be replaced by themselves without having the ladder be destroyed. they're taken out of service. The fly section, obviously, as we know, moves up and down the base section, and it's a good idea that anywhere there's moving parts on these ladders, we're going to go ahead and apply some paraffin wax. Right here, they say paraffin wax or candle wax. The actual reality is candles are made out of paraffin wax. Comes in like 4 blocks in a box. Again, it's $4. Every grocery store. Firefighter McDaniel is going to go ahead and show us how we do that. There's a top and a bottom to the rail, and if you come around here with the camera, you can see where it slides through the base section. So he's going to give it a good working in with that, and it's going to be the top and bottom. So if we remember, anywhere that there's contact, we want to put the wax on it. Waxing the ladders by the manufacturer is recommended every 6 months. In our environments, because a lot of our ladders are still exposed, they're subjected to more heat than a lot of other places in the nation. I think quarterly again, or maybe every other month. Get out there, rinse them off, throw a fresh coat of wax on it. Another good idea is on our locks or our pawls right here. We want to go ahead and put a coat of wax where it touches our rungs, because it does actually reduce the wear on the rungs. So we're going to hit the top and the bottom of that. Okay, there's another view. We flip the ladder over. This is going to be your base section up. It gives you a real good look and an easier way to get on your locks or pawls. Wax those, both sides, anywhere there's going to be contact with the ladder itself. So the top of this and both sides of this. And then as you can see here, we've exposed this portion of the slide rail. This has been actually cleaned and waxed, but you will see that there's some wear and tear. Get on with a green scrubby, clean it up, and it allows you to get also another good visual inspection of this side of the ladder as well. Again, just your waxing this section right here, where it comes in contact with the base section itself. Give it a look-see. So start on one side, flip it to the other, get a good look at both sides, and you can wax it from whatever side's at. Again, I don't know if I touched on this before or not, but the manufacturer recommends waxing every 6 months. But due to the conditions here, we have some pretty extreme heat, as well as our ladders are exposed on a lot of our apparatus. So I think at least quarterly, probably every 2 months is about the right duration to go in between waxes. Okay, best way to do it, we get our ladders out. You can do it on the ground, set them on chairs, sawhorses, whatever you want. A good way to make sure you don't miss anything is do a bottom to top or a top to bottom. First thing will be our butt spurs, making sure they're not broken or loose, because obviously this is what's going to be digging into our surface for us, whether it be dirt, grass, gravel, or concrete itself. And then we're taking a look at our rungs. Again, little nicks, little dents, not that big a deal. Malleable metal, we will have that. Just kind of run through, grab all your rungs, make sure there's no loose rungs, no big changes out of the ladder itself. And as we're doing this, gives us a good opportunity to look at our heat dots and make sure those are the color they're supposed to be. This one's up here, this one is where the old one was. And typically when you see them, they'll be across from each other on the inside of your beams. Again, up here we're looking at our halyard, and I kind of forgot checking our knot, and that we're good, we're not abraded on that rope. Working our way along, operating our box and pawls. Again, spinning our pulley, our halyard pulley, taking a look at that. If halyards do need to be replaced, if you want to try to do it yourself, it's very easy. Typically, I like to do it is go ahead and leave the old one on and lay the new one out exactly like this one would be, so you kind of have a guide of how to do it. Also, some great instructional videos that are about 5 minutes long on YouTube as well. Again, we're looking at our connections, giving it a good look-see, all the way to the tip. Our tip pieces are just exactly like, they're just bolted on. They're just like our butt spurs. These can get damaged too, because on the rare occasion that we do use these to break windows, typically the tip of the ladder is what takes the biggest beating. And then we can see, before we wax, how our waxing looks on our top, feel it on the bottom of the rail itself as well. So just a good bottom to top, takes a couple minutes. It's common sense, 1, and 2, everybody probably already knows this. I think it's just something that all of us are guilty of not doing frequently enough. As far as actually waxing, maintaining, caring for, that's all I have on that. I would like to conclude with a little story I heard recently. A lady was at home and she got a call from the hospital with a doctor on the other end of the line. Doctor said, ma'am, I've got some terrible news for you. Your husband's been involved in a very serious accident, and unfortunately, he's brain dead. The lady starts going hysterical. She's losing her mind. Doctor says, now, hold on, wait a minute. We have perfected the surgery of brain transplants. So we do think we're going to be able to do something for your husband. And she kind of perks up and says, oh, really, doctor? He says, yeah, we have 3 fresh brains in the brain bank. And they're different brains, and they cost different prices. And he says, oh, anything, doctor, tell me. He says, well, we have a fireman's brain that we can transplant. It'll be about $10,000. She says, okay. So we have a captain's brain. That'll cost you about $50,000. He says, oh, wow. He says, then we have a chief's brain, but that one's going to cost you $1 million. So he's $1 billion, doctor. Why is it so expensive? I said, well, man, that's because it's never been used. Anyway, just remember, in the fire service and on truck companies, if you can't ladder, you don't matter. Stay safe, everybody.